Hello, I'm Thomas Haire, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI's Brand Response Council. These 20-ish minute live conversations featuring leaders in the performance marketing world speaking about the hottest topics in the industry are scheduled twice a month. Before we get to today's conversation, a housekeeping note. We'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of the session. You don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in, and we'll be collecting them. We'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the episode. The episode today is a preview of next week's PDMI East, Monday through Wednesday at Eden Roc Miami Beach. We're looking forward to seeing a few hundred of you there. It's been a great 6 months of prep, and we're excited about it. We're just 5 days away. And what can you expect from this much anticipated event? 9 educational sessions, 5 networking events. We'll always, as always, feature the kind of education and networking that members and past attendees have grown to love. What will be the standout moments of the show? Well, Chris Foster, Take 20 host and chair of the PDMI's Brand Response Council, is here to serve as your surrogate by asking me questions about what the PDMI team has planned for the event. Chris, let's do this. We've done this before. We're going to do it again in October. Let's talk it up.
Right on. Well, thank you so much, Tom. And thank you again for the PDMI team for putting together this event every 6 months back at Eden Roc Hotel in Miami. Can't wait, not only for the educational sessions and not only for the venue, but to get to the network, to meet the people and to reconnect with colleagues and teammates and professional friends, but also to meet new folks, to meet the new attendees. However, what I did see, Tom, is that generally there looks to be a little bit of a different type of structure in terms of what you did for the educational sessions. And I want to get to that in a bit. But the very first thing is a kind of the meeting folks and the networking. And I think that you're continuing on with the new attendee mixer on Monday. Talk about that and talk about why that event in particular is the best way to kick it off.
Yeah, we are. We launched that event a few years ago, I believe in Miami, and now it's become a staple of all of our events on Monday evening from 5 to 6:30. We're thankful for the support of Samsung Ads and Birdie Payments as sponsors of that event this time around. When we started it, it was just brand new attendees, first time attendees, and our PDMI council members. We figured we'd put the newest folks with our most robust members, our most deeply entrenched members. And it went really, really well for the first few outings. But then we said, you know what? Let's get these people some more exposure to some more important folks. As we built out PDMI University, which is launching on April 30th, we started by including the PDMI U faculty members in the invite list. Then we decided to invite event sponsors. So if you're a sponsor of this event, you're invited to come and join the show, join this new attendee mixer. All in all, we have gotten the eligible grouping up there to about half, or maybe about 60% of the show. But it's still a great place for the first-time attendee to get their bearings, meet other new people, meet some of the key people who are on hand. You know, it's always tough, Chris, when you're at a new show and it seems like everyone's kind of cliquish and meeting old friends and you don't know where to get in. That's what the idea of this event is, to find your way in, to meet your own new friends, to connect and really get the show off to a great start. That takes place at the end of our first half day. Monday's really a half day. We open the meeting hall at noon after registration opens at 10 a.m. We'll have some great stuff happening in the meeting hall on Monday. Our sponsored tables, there's about 14 companies with sponsored tables, lots of other meeting space in there. We have a coffee and tea that's presented by 212 Direct. We have the bar, beer, wine, soft drinks that's presented by Hybrid Media Services. So, really Monday is a great day to get your feet wet. No tension or stress over like a massive meeting schedule. No tension or stress over missing education. Just get in there, get your feet wet, meet some new folks, and get things going.
Yeah, I love it. And what I think is great about that new attendee mixer too is bringing the sponsors in is terrific because they get to see the new folks coming in and to give those new attendees a better understanding of what the sponsors do and what the ecosystem is within PDMI. I think it's a fantastic introduction. When I looked at the schedule for Tuesday and Wednesday, one thing struck me about the educational content is that there seemed to be a transition of content, where Tuesday was a lot about, the classic stuff that we need to see as an industry.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, there's a lot of brands, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a real focus on brands. Can you
Mm-hmm.
kind of describe generally what the educational structure looks like when it comes to some of the traditional and more staple, pieces of information we need, and the introduction of this new brand content?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Chris. Thank you for that, for noticing that. Yeah, we did some extensive outreach on the brand side, the performance brand side of the world here over the past 6 months. We're gaining traction. We have more than a half dozen brands on stage at this show, which is a nice uptick for us. We're hoping to build that out even further in San Diego in the fall. But the initial concept was to have a day of sessions that was centered on brands, and that's Wednesday, April 9th. We have in each session, we have at least one, and in most of them, two brands that are going to be on stage talking about the given topics that they're discussing. We also have a brand on stage on Tuesday with the Women's Leadership Council. So, but realistically, your point is just correct. The Tuesday sessions are some of our usual hot topics that we try to touch on and keep people abreast of, while Wednesday is more of a brand day type of event where we're getting the brand's perspective. We have a nice mix of performance agencies, performance media outlets, ad tech, the support services that keep everything rolling, obviously, and then some brands on stage. We thought, let's get those brands up there and tell the rest of the ecosystem what they really want, what they really need, what they're working on, what's next for them. So important
I
stuff.
love it. I think that that's a great way for the industry to hear firsthand how they can best serve these brands, because in the end, that's going to be the end folks who are doing most of the DTC marketing that we're all engaged with. So let's
Right.
let's talk about this education. But first, so anyway, that's new in terms of the structure of it. Another thing that was new I saw was on Tuesday. It looks like 212 Direct is presenting an ocean flow yoga, so
Yeah.
everybody can get their fitness in before the conference starts.
Yeah, it's a great little ad. Again, thanks to 212. Obviously, they're giving you your coffee and tea to keep you awake during the day, but they're starting you off with a nice, easy flow on Tuesday morning. That's going to be outdoors, weather permitting. And let's just say that kind of practicing for the weather here. A lot of sun. But yeah, weather permitting, we're going to be outdoors on the grass, and we've got a great group RSVP'd already. There are a couple slots still left, so if you're registered for the show and you want to do a nice 50-minute yoga course, it's designed for everyone, from newbies to the hardest core yogis out there. Michelle Green, who is the head of 212 Direct, is also a yogi and will be teaching the course. So it's a great way to get things started and get yourself centered before you dive in. And then you can go to the show floor and get a coffee from her too.
That's awesome. I love it. What a great way to start the day. So we kick off with the media outlet roundtable. I think this is one of the most important kind of keystone educational sessions that
Mm-hmm.
PDMI offers, because the industry is changing so rapidly,
Mm-hmm.
and new technologies and new trends, changes within the economy, changes within consumer purchasing behavior. We really have to hear from the folks who not only have their ear to the ground, but every single day are working in the confluence of all of these influences.
Yeah, yeah, it's really about what's happening right now with these folks, and the mix of outlets that are involved shows that, from Maria Kennedy at Allen Media. I mean, all of these folks are veterans. They know this business back and forth, from linear to CTV and streaming to even digital. You look at Maria Kennedy from Allen Media Group, which obviously Allen Media Group owns the Weather Channel, owns the Grio. So an interesting mix of kind of digital and streaming properties, along with that big Weather Channel hub as well. You've got Caitlin Stebbins from Samsung, obviously, one of the biggest players in the CTV and streaming. There's a report that came out, we had it in our newsletter today, about the fact that as smart TVs replace the dongles we were all attaching to our non-smart TVs, that Samsung is the leader in market share, and Samsung Ads has been a leader in this space. So it's great to have her. And then Mark Sullivan from Paramount, obviously Paramount, massive leader in the linear space for a long time. So many great networks, but also doing incredible work along the streaming line as well. So it's a really interesting mix. Christina Ferrugiari from Lockhart and Wexler moderating. She has been in this business for some time. She runs a lot of digital and streaming efforts at LWD, and has just the right hand, I think, to bring the best out of this group and let our attendees know what they need to know about the atmosphere that's happening around TV, linear, CTV, all of it.
I think it's great. And especially if we've got Al and Median Group that has the Weather Channel, maybe they can influence the weather that morning for the yoga. I don't know if it works that way. They report on it or influence it. Who knows? It's worth an ask, right? If you don't ask, nothing happens. So the next session of education is kind of talking about opening the funnel for consumer engagement. It's really very specific about how you go about that type of operation. Tell me more about that and the speakers involved.
Yeah, so the continuity is still a huge business. Subscriptions, memberships, whether it's a product or a service that you're continually receiving on a month-by-month basis. And as we kind of reverse engineered this is the Women's Leadership Council, which is chaired by Fern Lee, who's the moderator of this, and our vice chair is Linda Goldstein from Baker Hostetler. And Linda was obviously instrumental in all of the PDMI's efforts to kind of battle against the FTC's recent click to cancel rules and get them to be much more viable for the folks who work in this industry, and we're very proud of that. We kind of reverse engineered. We're like, well, we've talked so much about these rules and how they affect these folks, but we haven't really done a session lately talking about what's happening in the continuity and subscription business and what's new, how they work across the different parts of the funnel, where these different facets happen. So we said, okay, let's do this. Let's see what we can pull together, and it's a great group. Sarah Andriadakis from Blue Water on the media side, longtime expert in buying media for these types of products and services. Obviously, Linda's got all the regulatory information. Racine Levy from Care.com, formerly of Angie, now with Care.com, and as a father of a 6 and a 4-year-old, I'm a Care.com member, and monthly fee to be able to access babysitters and whatnot. So that's obviously a recurring and continuity business. And Ryan Strobel, who's a newbie to our show from RSM Creations, really rounds out the group, and should make for an interesting voice among everybody else. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, that's great. And I love the idea of putting those subscriptions into the context of PDMI, because it's not only an emerging part, but it's a big part of consumer behavior. And then we roll next into, after the lunch, we roll into agencies, ad tech, and the assessment of the marketplace. I love this because one of the things I don't hear enough of is the masters of their craft and the folks in the industry speaking plainly and candidly about how they look at the whole market, because everyone's a little bit uncertain about what's happening over the in the next X number of months, especially with consumer behavior. So I'm really excited to hear from these experts.
Yeah, it's great. And this is actually, if you look at the schedule on Wednesday, this is kind of a partner piece with one of the sessions Wednesday, where we're going to have brands on stage talking about what they are looking for out of their ad tech and agency partners. You know a lot about that session, Chris, and we'll get to it later. But nonetheless, we wanted to get this group on stage and have them. It's also a companion to the Media Outlet Roundtable. We want to hear from them and hear what they want to tell us about where things are at. From a technological standpoint, from a buying standpoint, where are we at? What are they telling their clients? What are they telling, what are they discussing with the media outlets? Where is this market at? The tariffs go into effect today, and there's a story that we put out today on our newsletter about the fact that, what do the tariffs mean for the upfront? Because if the upfront is not strong, what does that mean for performance buying after that, right? So there's a lot of interesting angles that are going to be discussed here. Obviously, a tremendous group between Extreme Reach, Jamloop, Blockboard from the ad tech side, Shelby Nichols of Media Culture coming at it from the agency side. Of course, Matt Wasserloff from Blockboard also has a lot of agency background. It's going to be a great group. We thought who better to moderate this than someone from the outlet side. And that's how we have John Ronaldo, Dish Media, who's also one of our faculty members for PDMIU, He's a great voice, and I've been assured, I'm just emailing with John today, that they're ready to go. He thinks it's going to be a great conversation. He says their calls have had a really easy flow, and he's looking forward to put it all on stage.
Fantastic. Can't wait to see that one. And the penultimate conversation of where are my customers, I think that's pretty interesting. Coming from the e-commerce council, I'm curious what the attendee should expect from this session.
I would say, it's an interesting thing. The e-commerce council kind of started kicking this around as more from like a back-end services perspective. You look at the description, and not only is fragmentation a big issue where do we reach these people? Fragmentation is a really big issue on where they're responding, right? I mean, you can buy a product from, you used to be able to buy a product at a store. Now you can buy a product from 12 different things, when you think about all the online outlets you can buy from. So it started as an idea of like we're experiencing fragmentation on both ends of the consumer journey to buying a product. And so Greg Silvano, who's in a constant horse race with you, as our best moderator, Chris. Greg's got a great group on stage. Marianne Bautista from TurboRank, she is a supreme expert in all things YouTube marketing. She is absolutely great. Again, another member of PDMI East faculty. And Jared McElroy, this is her second straight show on stage at PDMI. She was with us in San Diego from Audience Express, Comcast, and she's got her finger on the pulse of where your customers are.
Fantastic.
So I
love it. And you did add, you snuck a new one in, where it's what I think is pretty interesting. It's very timely. It's a question about what it means from FTC enforcement with the new administration.
Yeah, so we're able to wedge this one in. It's just a half hour. It's a highlighted slot for Len Gordon, who runs Venable LLP's advertising and marketing practice. And Len's a longtime member of our Government Affairs Council, also worked with Linda during our FTC process in 23 and 24. Len's got his finger on the pulse of this. We talked about it a little bit. There's a lot of consternation. There's a lot of expectations with the new administration taking over on January 20th about what it would mean for FTC enforcement. Some of those are coming true. Some of them maybe not so much. There's definitely some rumblings and changes within the FTC and where it's headed. So Len's going to put that all on the table in a special half-hour presentation where he's going to talk about all of it and everything that a performance marketer and all the service providers need to know about, where they may be exposed still, where consumer protection might be pulled back, all of these different things. So it should be a great half hour, great way to wrap up the day and send you off into the evening.
Yeah, I love it. I think what I like about that is that it's tight. It's only 30 minutes, and it's coming from someone who really understands this better than anyone else. But it's such an impactful topic that applies to the entire ecosystem. I think it's great.
Len, before he was at Venable, Len was actually an attorney at the FTC, so he knows the inner workings of this. He has contacts still there. He knows what's happening, and he's gonna put out what he can for you to know. So
that's fantastic, and that leads us right into our very kind of not our first mixer, but the evening mixer presented by Lockhart and Weschler Direct. I think that's going to be fantastic because that's really when everybody's all in town at this time.
Yeah, LWD is presenting the Sunset Shangri-La. This is our biggest party of the event. It's an all-access party. Anyone with a badge can come. It's out on the grass near the beach. Sunset time. We'll probably hit sunset about 20 minutes left in the party, which will be beautiful. Cocktails. It'll be the biggest group event of the entire show. So if you miss that one, you're missing out on your biggest chance to meet new folks. Reconnect with your friends, all of the good stuff. That's the big event. So make sure you're there.
Yeah, and make sure that you don't drink too much. Although it's a pretty boozy crowd at PDMI. They're pretty fun. But the next morning it starts, right? Next morning is the women's leadership breakfast at 8 a.m. Talk to me about that. This has been going on very strongly. It's very popular.
This has become one of our most popular events, Women's Leadership Breakfast, and thank you to Yang Guru for all the support. Women's Leadership Breakfast was kind of what eventually led to us doing Women's Leadership Council within the group, and it's always a sold out event. We have a limited access. There might be a couple spots still open, so reach out if you have a badge and you're interested in attending as a woman who's attending the show. Reach out and we'll see if we can get you in. We are pretty tight at this point, but should be a great networking event. We have breakfast. There's going to be an interesting bingo game that's going to take place. That is really the bingo game is designed to create conversation amongst the folks, the women at each table. And we're not calling out like B4 or anything like that. It's each bingo square has something or something relevant to the performance marketing universe, and should create a great time. So wonderful way to start the day, leading right into the meeting hall opening, and setting up the last day for success.
Wonderful. So then we start to get into the deeper educational content on Wednesday, and you had talked about kind of a focus on brands. First one is just that, it's a case study, how brands are exploring CTV. That seems like a real deep dive of folks so they can learn how a brand is actually using this channel.
It is. So, this was a combo idea from the Workshop Council and the Brand Response Council. They were both coming at it from kind of different ways. We tried to get a couple of CTV outlets involved. As we worked on it, it became clear that what we could do best here is actually present a case study with a longtime performance brand that had not experienced CTV, and doing it with Samsung, which was previously mentioned as one of the biggest CTV outlets, and show what they're experiencing, what's working for them, what they like, what they'd like to see more of, all these things. I'm moderating it. I have a call half hour after this ends to kind of finalize the process. We have a couple of great videos showing examples of what SNHU has done to target different demos within Samsung's outlet, and it's going to be an interesting conversation. I do think this being a deep dive into one campaign, one brand working with one outlet is really going to allow us to show more than if we were having a kind of a widespread conversation among multiple brands and outlets, because it's really going to be laser focused on what's working. And it's going to be, you don't have to be an education brand for this to be valuable for you, right?
Sure, because what it does is the lessons learned about what they're doing is going to be applicable for most brands. They just have to adjust it for them. I think that's terrific to get into the inner workings of this, and it's great that SNHU felt comfortable to kind of walk everybody through their thought process.
We're really going to talk heavily about the targeting aspects of it. And what are the two naysays you hear the most about CTV? Scale and cost. And we have a very open conversation about that topic as well, and how you kind of redefine what your cost structure is when you're looking at doing this. All these things, compare and contrast to a linear. It's going to be a great conversation. So.
That's fantastic. And the brand chat keeps going, because what I love is that you're kind of focusing on brands, but bringing that really important Hispanic marketplace is such a large part of the industry. And it's great that there's a topic each conference about that, but really focusing, it seems, on a brand within the U.S. Hispanic market space.
We have it's great. We have two brands on stage in this one, as well as obviously one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Spanish language TV outlet in Telemundo. So we're very fortunate to have Jacqueline Lopez from Angelo, which is a Medicare Advantage product offering that reaches directly into the Hispanic and the Spanish-speaking space. And then we have Mario Cardone, the CMO of debt.com, and he's going to be there to talk about everything they're doing there. Federico Garza of Telemundo is a veteran. This is, I think, the third time he's spoken for us at PDMI. And he kind of looks at the analytics of what's being achieved, what marketplaces might work for a debt.com or an Angelo. So it's going to be an interesting convo. It does fit right into our brand zone. We had a great brand conversation with the Hispanic folks in San Diego, kind of an extension of that. So it should keep those brands rolling.
Keep it rolling. So, and then the next one, we actually go back where you talked about continuity on the day before, and the kind of the experience that a customer has. This time, it's also part of that customer journey. You're talking about the mid-funnel momentum, really where conversion and loyalty lie. So talk
Yeah.
about that, because that's a really important piece of the customer funnel beyond just getting them in, making them engaged and converting.
Yeah, everyone's worried about the top of the funnel getting them in, and the bottom of the funnel, getting a paid customer. But the mid funnel stage is incredibly important. The continuing engagement with customers who are evaluating your products, finding ways to reconnect and connect and reconnect with them, and in a valuable way that drives loyalty rather than turns them off. All these things. It's a crucial stage in today's performance marketing funnel, overlooked. And we have Jeremy Herbert from WeBuyAnyCar.com, obviously a brand in the automotive space. The team at TCA, great agency, they were deeply involved in our sessions last year, and the team at TCA has kind of brought this session whole cloth to the table. So it's actually going to kind of serve as our second case study of sorts for the day, where they're going to talk about what We Buy Any Car has done to achieve mid-funnel success. Should be interesting. Again, right. Not just valuable or viable to automotive marketers. It's going to be a kind of a deep dive into what can work mid-funnel for any marketer.
That's fantastic. I love it. And then we ended on Wednesday actually with my panel. So I'll jump in and talk about that. I'm very excited about this. This is again a brand chat. We have fantastic brands and fantastic speakers from the brands. So we've got Mike Rabinovitz. He's from Echelon Fitness, formerly at General Mills, formerly at Hershey's. And we've got Rich Thompson from Burger Boat Company. No, they don't make hamburgers. They make beautiful, exclusive, fantastic yachts. I think Tom has two, I think now. You just purchased your second one. 3, now he's got 3. But the idea behind this one is the marketplace is replete with ad tech and martech technologies. In fact, we're going to kind of go through how many there are. There are over 10,000 different kinds of technology choices that a brand can make. And then the people that are attending the conference are either the brand or they're part of that ad tech community or they're part of the agency community. So the question is, how do you find the right ad tech, martech partners? How do you find the right agency partners? Do you look for a generalist agency that does all things well? Or do you silo and segment your agencies based on the channel? So this is coming from that decision-making process from the brand's perspective. So if you are an agency or if you are a business service, or even if you're in the back-end services and you want to understand how you can be chosen by these brands to be a partner, this is an absolute must-see conversation, because we're going to get into the inner workings of the decision-making process, the vetting process, the balance between skills and kind of that personal relationship, what builds credibility and trust, all of these things that are the key decision moments when someone actually chooses a partnership with an agency or martech or ad tech company. So can't wait to have you guys there. And it's a great way to wrap up the final day. And if you need to bring a beer, I know that they have them in the lobby by one of our fantastic sponsors, and you can do that before the final cocktail event.
Yes, Chris, you've taken the assignment and run with it as always, and you've got it nailed. This is exactly what we were looking for when we came up with the session. So love to hear where you guys are going with it. Saw your slides yesterday, so it looks good. And yes, feel free to stop by. Let me touch on that, where you can get that beer, which is the meeting hall. And that bar is brought to you by Hybrid Media Services. But let me touch on the meeting hall for a couple things before we go into the final closing party. And that is Tuesday and Wednesday in the meeting hall, PDMIU is giving you lunch. There's a buffet lunch in the meeting hall between 12 and 1:30. And please stop by. If you have a badge, you can come by and take part and grab a bite to eat, sit down, meet new folks, or make a lunch plan with one of your old friends, hang out. So that's going to be a great opportunity for folks to come on in. Another thing that's happening in the meeting hall is that we're filming testimonials about the PDMI and PDMI's events. We have about 12 people signed up already on a Calendly link, but we're also accepting walk-ups theoretically. You'll see that happening. And if you are a longtime attendee and want to say what you think about the PDMI and its work, or if you're a first-time attendee having the best time of your life, you can come by and tell us how awesome everything is as well. We're going to be using some of these testimonials as marketing as we move forward in 2025. So just a couple things happening in the meeting hall.
Hey, Tom, before I let you jump into the Seaview Social to wrap things up, could you talk a little bit more about PDMIU and the introduction you're going to be making at the show?
Yeah, so PDMIU, the long-awaited and long-touted PDMIU, is going to launch. Class begins April 30th, as all of our taglines say. We are working on 10 different courses right now to finalize them. We're very likely to launch on April 30th with 5 of those courses live. And we're very excited about it. It's a continuing education program for folks in the performance marketing industry, from new hires to industry veterans. There's going to be value for you in each of these courses. We're talking about things like the linear TV and streaming TV. There's 2 TV media courses. Is the course that Chris is part of, which is integrating online and offline marketing. We have a regulatory course where we're going to be talking about what you need to know right now in the regulatory space. Audio course is currently being worked on. That's our 10th course, and we just kind of unlocked that. So there's a series of 10 courses. Within by the time we get to the show, you'll be able to go to thepdmi.com/university and find out more. We're not quite ready there yet, but by the time we get to the show, you'll be able to go look and see. We have 25 great, wonderful, tremendous faculty members, and that's growing. John and I figured out the other day that if you consider that almost all those faculty members have been in the business for at least 20 years, you're looking at about 500 years of combined total intelligence in this space that you can access. We'll have more information on enrollment soon, cost, all of those things coming very, very soon. You can catch a sizzle reel we created in between the sessions at the education hall. We're excited about it. It's just about ready. We're excited to get it out there and get it out in the world and see people take advantage of it. So thanks, Chris, for bringing that along, and thanks for your efforts in helping make it happen. So.
Well, absolutely. Well, thanks for talking to the folks about it. And I guess your final cocktail and networking event is the Seaview Social presented by Blockboard. It's kind of the wrap up for everything, right?
Wrapping it up. Yeah, Blockboard is sponsoring our Seaview Social, the closing night event. Same time, 5:30 to 7:30. So you're going to catch another great sunset, we hope. This one will take place at the Spa Garden, which is a very nice green space in Eden Roc's backyard. It should be a wonderful event. You can consult any of our signage on site, or your show guide, or our website for a map of where all these networking events are. That's available online. We have some QR codes within the show guide, so pick one of those up, and that'll get you access to everything you need to know about where these events are. But thank you, Blockboard, for stepping up and sponsoring Seaview Social. Should be a fun event. Should be a great way to go out and call it another PDMI East.
Fantastic. Love it. Can't wait. Can't wait to come. Can't wait to see you, and can't wait to see everybody and get that learning and get that networking and meet, like I said, old friends, but also to make new connections and to make new friends. As we move along into 2025, it's an uncertain economic outlook. And I think that every brand, every business, every agency needs to find a network of folks that they can trust as we move into this back half of this year with the kind of uncertainty that there is. And there's no better way to build that kind of trust than going to PDMI.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. So thank you, Chris, and thanks for taking me through that. I appreciate it, as always. We appreciate you and your service as we wrap up episode 111 of the Take 20. Thank you all for being here. Our next Take 20 episode, number 112, is set for Wednesday, April 16th. We'll take a look at the dawn of crypto marketing. Yes, crypto is starting to be marketed. And Sarah Lavoie of Baker Hostetler, an attorney in the industry, brought this to us as part of the Brand Response Council's meetings. We're very excited about this interesting and intriguing topic. So you can visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register and check out the entire upcoming schedule. And online registration for PDMI East closes Friday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. Through that time, badges are priced at just $3.95 for PDMI members and $5.95 for non-members. That's a $100 discount from on-site registration rates. So if you're going to come, buy your badge by Friday night. Otherwise, you're going to pay $100 more on site. If you know you're going to be there, why not save yourself the money? Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-East to get your badge now. Thanks again for checking out this episode. The PDMI's Take 20. Be well, and we will see you in Miami. Bye-bye.
Bye.